Hello and welcome once again to the SIS Kelapa Gading Distance Learning for Parents series. Today the topic is about the three main kinds of media used during distance education here at SIS-KG. Now the main distance learning platforms that we use are selected based on their suitability for different age groups. So you can see on the table here that for preschool and P1 and P2, we use Seesaw. In Seesaw, we create a single online class for all students. So it's very easy for parents and teachers to see all the work of a single student in one area. Seesaw is great because it is very optimized for mobile phones. It means that the parent at home or the caregiver can very quickly take a photo through the Seesaw app directly of the work the children are doing, of their workbook, of their coloring, of their activity, of things they're doing visually, and that photo is instantly uploaded into Seesaw, and the teacher can see it right away. The teacher can make comments on the photo, send it back, all in a very, very quick and easy process. And we chose Seesaw for that reason. Seesaw is very, very interesting in all kinds of ways, as I'm sure you've already found out. Now for P3 to P6, and also for Secondary 1 to Secondary 4, we use Google Classroom. Now Google Classroom allows students to be a bit more independent, and that's what we want. We want to minimize the involvement of parents and caregivers as much as possible. We know it's a burden for you at home to manage your children in different classes and with different things going on. And Google Classroom enables your children to directly see and respond to the work and resources that teachers are giving them. And so there'll be a single class for each subject, so your child will be able to manage all the different work for that class in a single space. And then finally, for junior college, for JC1 and JC2, we use ManageBack. ManageBack is particularly optimized for the IB program. It includes things like CAS and the extended essay and TOK, as well as activities just like Google Classroom does. Actually, in some cases, teachers also use Google Classroom in JC as well. So three main platforms that we use across the school for our students. Now, when using these programs, this table gives you a bit of an idea what the teachers do and what the students do. So the teachers can send video, sound recordings, web links, reading material directly to the students to read. And on the student side, the students can then upload any tasks or activities or assignments they've done for the teacher to review, all done on the platform. The teacher can give instructions and descriptions of tasks or activities, including setting due dates for certain assignments, and all the criteria is there. And the students can then manage their personal calendar. They can see when different things are due from different subjects, and teachers and students and parents can all manage that calendar. You can see what is due when very clearly. The teacher can initiate personal communication with the whole class or with a particular student, and so can the student back to the teacher. So there's no need to use email, no need to use WhatsApp. It can all happen through the platform. You know, our teachers are very available throughout the day for interaction with parents and students, but they may have a lot. There may be more than 100 students they are trying to look after. They may not be available right when you need them. And so it's important to be able to send a message, and then in due course, during the course of the day, or maybe the next day sometimes, the teacher will reply with an answer. These platforms can also do class discussions, so that especially for the older students, there can be a time when everyone gets together and engages back and forward with a text-based discussion about something, or it can be over the course of a day or 2 days, where people read people's replies and then reply themselves. There can be a back and forth discussion, just like you might have in a normal class, but doing it in writing. And then finally, these platforms allow the ability to have a central space for all the frequently asked questions, links to resources. So students are fully in control of all the things they need to do the work they've been asked to do. They're all there in the platform for their particular class. And the students can also engage in group work. So just like in a normal class, teachers can assign groups, students can work together online to produce their particular project or assignment. So as well as having these main platforms that we use for communication back and forward, we also use pre-recorded video or pre-recorded sound. And this is an important element of our program because this part allows us to give some flexibility for parents and students as to when you will engage with this material. In many cases, it's not possible for every student to always be on a live call at the same time. So by giving parents and students pre-recorded video, they can watch it in their own time, they can watch it over and over again, or listen to it over and over again, and thus become confident in understanding the content over time. And it really relieves some stress on parents from having to be at a certain time on a certain day there, or they miss out. And so this is an important part of what we do. And so these pre-recorded videos might be used to introduce a new topic or to create some interest. You know, teachers still are going to try to create a sense of engagement, to try and make sure that students understand why they're learning something, to get them interested in finding out more. And video can be a great way of doing that. And it might be a video from the teacher, or it could be a video the teacher finds somewhere else and shares with the students to watch. One of the main ways, though, that we use these pre-recorded videos is when teaching new topics or new skills. And so the teacher can explain, they can use a virtual whiteboard, they can use their slideshows, they can use different software and make it interesting, but they can allow the students to really see the information visually on the screen and also hear the teacher's voice when explaining that new material. And like I mentioned before, it can be watched over and over again as needed to make sure the student understands. And finally, for language classes, we've really tried to focus a bit more on pronunciation during distance learning. And so when the language teachers, like the Chinese teachers, for example, might send a small recording of the sound of certain words, and the students can play over and over again and practice. And the students can also then, of course, record themselves and send it back to the teacher for the teacher to evaluate and give feedback. So as well as our main distance learning platforms that we use for all that communication and all that information, we also have this pre-recorded video component and sound component to make sure that we have the flexibility that parents and students need as distance learning gets extended longer and longer. Finally, we also use live class interaction through Zoom conference calls. Now, Zoom is fantastic because it really allows great student-teacher interaction. And we want to keep that as an element in our teaching and learning. And it's great how technology enables us to do that now. And so by logging on all together and the teacher can engage with the class, the teacher can speak, the students can answer questions, they can use the chat window, and the teacher can show their PowerPoint also on the screen. And so it creates a nice level of engagement. The students still feel relationally connected to the teacher and to each other. And it's a great way to make sure that the teacher really can keep this momentum going, I guess, as the learning progresses. So during this time on the Zoom call, we're aware that it is very, very draining for students to be on the Zoom calls too long. And so we want to make sure we use them in the best possible way, because we know that just because the student is logged in and we can see their face, doesn't mean they're listening or they're engaging on that Zoom call. And so we want to make sure we maximize the use of those Zoom calls. And so we use it not to teach new content, because we do that by a pre-recorded video, as I mentioned before, but we'll use the Zoom calls for assessing understanding. Teacher asks the students reply. We can have back and forth discussions with the class in real time as well. And so that way the teacher can find out, did these students understand the content or not? just like they would do in a normal class at the end of a teaching period of new content. And we can also use these live Zoom calls for clarifying instructions to make sure that the instructions the students were given through their main platform were clear and understood to all the students. Students can ask questions and get instant feedback, and everyone can hear the feedback as well. Finally, the Zoom calls really keep the engagement high in language classes. And so as well as that opportunity to send those pre-recorded sound bites back and forward, we can also have a Chinese class or a Hindi class where there is live engagement, where they can all repeat certain sounds together, where the teacher can check understanding one by one, where they can have a bit of fun also maybe around Chinese with some singing and things like that. That kind of thing can also take place through a Zoom call. We know it's really hard to learn Chinese by distance education, and so this focus on oral and pronunciation and to keep the same level of momentum going is going to be important by using those Zoom calls there. Okay, so to summarize, we've got three main platforms. The major platform that we use for back and forward communication, the pre-recorded videos for new content that give flexibility, and the live classes through Zoom calls that keep that clarification and the level of understanding going in the clearest possible way, and keeping that engagement with the students. There will be many other tools that we will use as well, but these are the main ones that parents should be aware of as we continue distance learning. Thank you very much for your time, parents. Have a great day.